Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Roma Press live stream. I'm your host, Andy. I'm the co host and co editor of Roma Press and the Roma Press podcast. Thank you for being here. Um, we will try to make this one especially entertaining since you all know what happened last night and you all know the trajectory that Roma have been on for these past few weeks. So I'm not going to bring up any fresh news. We are just going to come in here and analyze and react to what happened yesterday and what can be done going forward. What your thoughts are, what the actual game plan or plan of action is in this, I think, very difficult situation. First of all, if you're joining me for the first time, thank you so much. This is our YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to. And if you click on the bell, on the low bell, you'll get notifications every time we schedule one of these live streams or whenever one of our podcast episodes are released in video format. You can watch them all here, and the latest one, the one that we recorded last night right after the match, is out now on all platforms and on YouTube as well. So thank you for following us, and thank you for our patrons. I know that we have some patrons here watching us, so thank you guys so much. It really means a lot to us, and also it's always easier when you have people in the same group chat more or less losing their minds at the same time. There is something very cathartic about coming together, obviously all over the world. You know, we have patrons from the US, from Australia, from Singapore, and everybody's mourning. So if you want to join the chat, if you want to have early access to episodes and access to extra episodes, you can support the show by going to patreon.com/Roma Press. And that way you can help us out and we can keep this ship sailing despite the obviously bad start to the season. So let me get to the chat. I already saw that some people have questions, others have some talking points. I see Richard is back with us. Hello, Richard. Thank you for being once again connected to this live stream. How did your group chat react to this game? Oh, brother. I think we've had some people leave the chat, not because of tension within the chat itself, but just because of how of how bad this moment is for a lot of Roma fans. They don't want to have anything to do with Roma outside of watching the games. So I can totally understand. And if you're a patron, if you're supporting the show, and you momentarily don't want to be part of the chat, it's no problem. You can return whenever you want. We have relax. Even Klopp had bad patches when Liverpool got battered 7-2. Yes, Rover, but I would have a hard time comparing this Roma team and the journey they're on to Klopp's Liverpool. Um, Hello, hi everyone. Let's see. We have Richard once again. No passion, no heart, no vision. We looked lost and a bunch of bricks out on the pitch. Sheesh. Yeah, it was rough out there last night. Roma had the perfect opportunity to sort of turn this around after Torino, which was disappointing but not bad. Torino's the result with Torino, the 1-1 draw, it was disappointing. It was deflating to go out the way they did. In the final minutes, but it wasn't an embarrassment. It wasn't. You could tell that there was a pulse. The team had a pulse. You can argue that last night was perhaps the first time that under Mourinho's tenure we've seen a team completely give up. Not even that they didn't show up, because that is something that has occurred in the past. You know, the team doesn't show up, the opponent has a magnificent night, a one-off, and it's everything is going right for them, and you concede and you go home empty-handed. No, last night Roma showed some kind of reaction with that equalizer, and then it was just the whole team just crumbled, and the whole team looked lost. I think that is what is most concerning. Um, Marco says, "Why do you defend Mourinho so much and for so long? Since we can see that in 2.5 years he didn't create nothing." 2 podcasts ago, John said that he will support Mourinho if even if people laugh at his face. Um, I think it's not even defending Mourinho. It's just a matter of giving Roma continuity, Marco. It's I've seen this team being managed by countless coaches, one after the other, without a single semblance um of anything. Of the team would change overnight, over the course of each summer, over the course of each window. A new manager would come in, and the story would rinse and repeat itself. If you look at the list of managers that Roma have had in the course of, say, 10 years, from 2011 until, say, 2021, when Mourinho joins, it's embarrassing how much disruption, how the lack of continuity, I think, contributed to the fact that Roma spiraled out of contending for, say, the Champions League, for contending for Scudetto. So I think when John and I try to give our support to Mourinho, it's because we're trying to give support to the idea of, at least, you know, of seeing through to this project. And the project that was started in 2021 entailed Mourinho signing a 3-year deal and staying 3 years at Roma. That's all. It's there is a difference between, actively saying, well, we need to sack him, we need to sack him, we need to sack him. What are the alternatives? I don't know. You see? And saying, okay, we have to stick it out, and then come up with another long-term plan. Mourinho was a long-term plan. Surprisingly, a lot of people thought that maybe after year one he would be gone. That's not the case. So I think that's how at least I can justify it from my side. John obviously is not here, so I guess we'll have to ask him on the next podcast episode. Leo, maybe Llorente injury will force four at the back. Oh wait, Mourinho will never change and admit his tactics are to blame. Okay, guys, I'm getting a really hostile feeling towards Mourinho today. Um, well, let's see. Corey, one of our good patrons, says you never apt in your description of Rui in the podcast. Rui is, in his first season to now, is like a completely different person. Moon's playing him at his own peril right now. Oh, no, but I think last night we said, yeah. Oh, sorry, you were apt. Yeah, that's I mean, and yesterday it wasn't even, I think the problem is not even Rui himself. It's just that Rui is one of the problems. But I want to also address, this is what I wanted to also address, because I see, a lot of people get taking issue with the transfers, and the summer not being good enough, and specifying names. But I want people to think really, really hard, because that's what John and I did on the latest podcast episode, which you can listen and watch on here. Who in this team right now is performing up to the standards, to the expectations? I want everybody to just think off the top of your head and come up with, say, 3 names. I mean, I think it's only right to come up with 3 names of players that are giving you good performances, game in, game out. In these first few weeks of the season, I want you to give me 3 names, and I think that'll be a fun exercise. um, what will happen if we play Chelsea? We don't have to. Right now, we are not. So, no point in thinking about that. Right now, we're playing against Frosinone on the weekend, and then we're playing with the mighty Servette from Switzerland in the Europa League. So, J. Conrad, it's just very weird. Like we're cursed or something this season. Well, and again, it's in the podcast episodes. That's why I want to use this live stream to focus more on what you guys are saying, and get your thoughts on this. But to me, the issue when we're saying, oh well, last night was an embarrassment, what happened? What happened last night? To me, the question is not what happened last night. To me, the question is what happened overnight during the summer. What happened with we obviously know this Roma team, I think, has like 2 wins in the last 14 games. Okay. I don't even want to look at the record. It's that poor. So we obviously know that in the final weeks of last season, we basically devoted ourselves only to the Europa League campaign. We put Primavera players. We started Miles VR. We had Benjamin Tahirovic, Christian Volpato, Missori, whatever, on the pitch in the final weeks of the Serie A season, with the thought of just get through it and go home and recharge our batteries ahead of the Europa League semifinal and then Europa League final. And that was okay, but I think since then we lost something. And the switch occurred in the summer, and I don't know what that switch is, but this Roma team is shaky, and it's shaky no matter who plays. So I see Mourinho, I see even fans say, well, there is no Smalling, but Smalling playing the first two games of the season, and he was easily one of the main culprits of Roma's conceded goals in the match with Salernitana, in the match with Hellas Verona. Smalling is at fault in both those games, and he's slow and he looks out of place. And that's what is very concerning to me, is that whenever you had these situations where you're looking at a difficult run of results, you want to have something to fall back on and something that you can say, well, I want to rely on this, and I'm going to get through this by relying on, say, set pieces, on counter-attacking football, and whatever. Roma had set pieces and defense last season. Roma ranked one of the best defensive sides in Europe last season. They were one of the very best, up there with Manchester City. Um, and now this is gone, like completely gone. Like this is the only game you did not concede a single goal was against Empoli, who at that point hadn't scored a single goal. So to me, that is the very concerning aspect, is when Mourinho and his players now they go back to Trigoria and they prepare for Frosinone. What are their options? What are they studying? What is their plan B? What is their plan C? As you said, who was it? Oh, Leo. As Leo said, Llorente out. That will have to force Mourinho to at least reconsider, changing something at the back, because I think putting this Cristante, who is really, as I said, give me those three names. I think Cristante is the only one you can come up with. To put this Cristante, this version of Cristante in the defense would be an atrocity. It would be a war crime. So we'll see. But that's what's concerning to me, is we don't have a reliable plan that I know of that we can fall back on in this very difficult situation. Guys, we have 34 people watching. I know it's a difficult day. No, nobody wants to listen or watch anything Roma related when this stuff occurs, but we're over 30 people. I want more likes, please, so that we have the chance of getting more people involved in this chat. So if you can hit the like button, really helps with the algorithm. Let's see. Leo, once again, you guys weren't saying this when it was uh, Eusebio Di Francesco getting canned. Didn't blame Monchi. We love consistency; it's needed, especially in the sport, but not when the product is consistently wrong. I disagree. When we were, I think that was my first year doing the podcast with John. When Di Francesco was getting the sack, I supported him until the very end. When the very end came up, it's because you felt that there was no end, like that there was an end to that. There was an end to that. There was an end to Monchi, who was clearly sending signals of wanting to leave. I mean, the guy was nightmare. He was walking, I think, in an airport, cursing Roma supporters and the media. So I don't think those are situations are comparable. I and you will never find me here defending somebody just for the sake of who he is. I don't care if you're Di Francesco, if you're Fonseca. I defended Fonseca. I defended Di Francesco. I defended Spalletti when people wanted him out because of the whole Francesco Totti saga. So I think everything has an end. So when Mourinho hits that wall and that wall crumbles, and it will say, "Well, this is the end," I will I will push for an exit, but right now I don't think that that's an option. You're not a relegation side who needs to avoid. I mean, we are in the relegation zone, but we're not, say, Empoli. The last time a top club fired their coach so early in the season, I think that was Milan with Gianpaolo, who left after, I think, 7 games. But aside from that, I can't recall an instance where, as a top club, you give up so easily. And especially, I mean, having worked it out, it's once again, we're not talking about the team that is just trying to get acclimated with each other. This is a team that more or less is very similar to the one we saw last year, the one we saw the previous year. But so I'm not even expecting champagne football. I'm not even expecting this team to win anything this year at this rate, but I want to have a semblance of a team, which right now is nowhere to be found. These players are completely lost. Richard, even Totti was embarrassed, couldn't stomach it any longer, and left the stadium early. Yeah, that was a bad look for Totti. Poor guy. It's just not working anymore. The tactics aren't working. Well, my question exactly is, what are the tactics? I want to know that. What are the tactics? Where is the plan of action? Where is I mean, the fact that nobody looks comfortable is very telling. It's very telling that players that are supposed to be, the backbone of the team are out of it. It's very difficult to pinpoint exactly what the duties are of each player. I don't know what Paredes is doing right now. I don't know what Mancini is doing right now. I don't know what Spinazzola is doing right now, just as I don't know what Dybala, who was the focal point for Roma last season, and sort of the whole team concentrated on making Dybala the star of the show. Right now, Dybala is a ghost. So, hello, Ju, another good patron. Thank you for being here with me today. I appreciate everybody, all the 35 souls that are tuning in, because I know it's not easy. So, but why blame it all on players, guys? Again, I don't know why it's so difficult to apply balance and judgment in these occasions. I just don't understand what the why is somebody so interested in blaming either the players or Mourinho? Can it be an issue that concerns everybody? Can it be that simple? I mean, honestly, like it's a team. Football is a team. It comes down to the tactics involved. It comes down to the personnel. It comes down to the performance. It comes down to the instructions on the sideline. So, to me, it just makes sense to sort of put everybody on the spot, and I'm pretty sure that that is exactly what Mourinho and the players know. It's everybody's out there. Everybody's for the taking. I mean, I don't think that somebody like Lorenzo Pellegrini is feeling comfortable right now. Just as I don't think that Mourinho is feeling comfortable. I think with Mourinho, it kind of freaked him out last night. You can see that, the fact that he even fell back on that tired line of, well, this is, it's the worst start of my career, but it's also the first time that Roma achieved 2 consecutive European finals. That's just desperation to me. That's just something he needs to say to get the pressure off. And I thought that was, for a man who loves the media and always has a good line, that was uncalled for in that moment. Is top four impossible now? No, nothing is impossible a month into the season. Honestly, guys, nothing is impossible. Like, you could even tell me that this team is going to go and win the Europa League, and I will believe you, because we've seen them do it. I just don't know if this version of Roma has it in them, because I've seen this Roma down bad. Like, even with Mourinho, I've seen them deliver some really bad performances. I think last night was particularly bad because it showed me a side that was helpless, that had no ideas. It just, there was no freshness. There was just nothing. Genoa were doing the bare minimum. It wasn't even like they dominated us. It wasn't even that they completely annihilated us on the pitch with amazing football and lots of good tactics. I mean, this was a Genoa team that was organized, yes, but did the bare minimum, and it worked for them. 4 shots on goal, 4 goals. Roma was the worst. It's not a time for Mu to say, like, yeah, okay, we can agree on that. Yeah. Leo, Allison Allison was looked at less than VR as a prospect and showed nothing before getting the start. Why not goes VR? That's a good question. I just think Rui Patricio is Jose Mourinho's main man, and he, like Jose said, I think it was our pre-match or post-match. It was our pre-match uh, press conference ahead of the Sheriff Tiraspol, where he said, had Rui Patricio conceded a goal against Empoli, he would have started against Sheriff. Now, I thought that was a terrible thing to say, honestly, because what you're gonna deprive Miles VR of even like minor playing time in the Europa League group stage just because the guy who's 36, probably on his most likely on his way out at the end of the season, needs to have some kind of reassurance because he was bad in the previous games. I just don't that it's I think it's a case of Mourinho getting attached personally to somebody and then just falling down the pit with them. Um yes, hostile for Jose because he deserves it. He never takes the blame and always finds excuses. Okay, Marco, but if he doesn't take the blame, does that mean that I have to absolutely, crap on him, regardless of what the team does? No, I think it's only right for me to react to the results that the team delivers. More importantly, I think it's for me, as I said on the podcast, it wouldn't have mattered had this game ended 2-1, 1-0 for Genoa. I think it would that result would have still carried the same ramifications for this team because the performance just was not there. That's the more terrifying part, is that the Roma just let the opponent do the bare minimum because they didn't care enough. It just, or at least they just were out of it. Despite being controlling possession, Roma were absolutely out of it in terms of the pace, in terms of physique. I mean, just you could not tell me that those two teams, just like in the match against Milan, that those two teams are on the same level of physical preparation. Now, that's something that Mourinho and his coaching staff can answer for. The absolute embarrassment of physical fitness within this team, and his answer that Llorente, this is not the first time he gets injured, is not good enough. See, like that's so Mourinho has these things where sometimes he makes absolute sense, and sometimes he's just talking for talking, and to me, it's it's uncalled for in these situations. Either you say something and you mean it, or just don't answer the question. Good morning, says Joey Peruzza, one of our good patrons, another survivor of the Roma patron group chat. Good morning. I'm here for my weekly therapy session. Welcome, Joey. I'll start charging soon. Adam says, I think everyone is hostile to Mourinho because they expect the team yesterday was strong enough to beat Genoa easily. Well, that can be applied to Salernitana, Hellas Verona. Once again, when you say, well, this is a easy schedule, you have to always consider these episodes. I mean, think about the schedule that Roma have had this in this season's opening, and think about the schedule that some of the smaller sides have had and have done better than Roma. And everybody looks sharper than Roma, with the exception of Empoli. Every single team has looked sharper than Roma physically. Cristante and Lukaku are the only two that come to mind. Yes, Corey, I totally agree with you. Dybala would be a close third. And Dybala, yeah, well, close. I don't know if close third. I would say just maybe the other player that could be considered in the conversation for best performer of this first month of the season. Absolutely, Cristante, Lukaku. One guy who is, doing everything at the same time and trying to reinvent himself once again, and another guy, Lukaku, who is just class and has once again just worked with the bare minimum to at least give us something up front. Belotti at least giving effort. That's it, says Leo. Yeah, I didn't even notice that he was on the pitch yesterday though. Niegu, the domino effect of Mourinho leaving during or after the season could make us fall backwards even more. I wonder if, for example, Dybala or other essential players have interest staying here if he leaves. I don't think a lot will depend on if Jose stays, because I think it's common knowledge even among the players. I mean, listen, Mourinho was considering leaving this summer. So when he spoke to the players knew that there was that possibility, Dybala included. The fact that he will leave, I don't think is as important as if Roma miss out on Champions League football. If you're Paulo Dybala, you like the Roma lifestyle, you enjoy being the star of the show, you will enjoy it regardless if Mourinho stays. You will not enjoy it if you once again miss Champions League football. So to me, that's it. I think it was always coming to an end with Mourinho at the end of the season. As I said before, this was always going to be a 3-year deal. And for continuity's sake, for consistency, I was pushing for it. No matter what happens, I think it's always important to do things, with some kind of plan. I mean, if you keep disrupting the growth of a team, these shitty moments can also contribute to the growth of the team. Obviously, they can, the team can fall backwards and be unrecognizable, and then we're once again faced with Di Francesco 2.0 or Garcia or the Garcia near the final weeks, where it was evident that the team was absolutely out of it, and Roma just dragged it out until the very end. So, but to me, it just makes sense to, for everything that Mourinho gave you, and I know people are split on this. At least, at least give him more time than you gave say Rudy Garcia, because I think he's done more for that. Obviously, two different situations, different teams, but um it's to me it's correct to think that, oh well, Roma and Mourinho are going to part ways at the end of the season, and it's only right. Mourinho will perhaps consider coaching a national team. That's fair. Roma will perhaps try to move on to a different profile manager. I don't know. Who knows what happens? The point is that this team cannot be all of a sudden considered the worst team in history, and nothing can be done about it, and can only result in sacking the coach and wiping the floor with some of these players. No, this team 2 months ago was in or 3 months ago was in a Europa League final. Had the best one of the best defensive records in Europe. So you can't tell me that this team cannot find the answers that are needed in a moment like this, when facing the likes of Genoa, Hellas Verona, now Frosinone. So you can't. It's, to me, it's impossible to start a conversation based on, well, this team is crap and so this is expected. No, it's nothing of the sort is expected. Cristante, exactly, Joey. Yeah, I think yeah, it's not CH, it's CR. um Richard says, I don't think it's Jose out on the pitch. It's the players that play and the poor passing and footwork. We don't even pass to reach our own players. Yes. And that's why I say balance and judgment, because players are not performing well enough, but at the same time, they have no framework no point of reference. There is nothing. There's not even the idea of last season where it was give the ball to Dybala and watch him go. Not even that. Dybala is invisible. He's out of it. He's not within the team's plans. Nobody is. Nobody's the star of the show. There is no clear point of reference. There is no, Lukaku is the main guy and he's getting thousands of opportunities. No. That's the problem, is that there is no recognizable pattern. There is no recognizable combination of tactics, of ideas. The team is just wandering around the pitch. Fitness levels are crap. Everybody's just looking around thinking, well, who's going to do something? And usually the answer is the opponent. That's who. Let's see. Rover team, relax. Even club. Oh, well, Rover, I think you repeated yourself. Um, let's see. Romalat. During the Torino match, Juric was up and down the sideline motivating his team. Mourinho cross-armed on the chair. Has he simply just given up as it's carried on to the team? I don't think so. I mean, Mourinho was on the sideline last night. He was on the sideline against Milan, raising his arms, screaming and doing all the Mourinho stuff. So I just think it's a bad moment for everyone. It's only right for players and coach to express it in body language. There is a problem. There is an issue. It's impossible to hide it. It's a big problem to have 5 points to show in 6 games. It's the club's worst start since 1978, and that team magically, miraculously managed to finish third. They had 2 points at this point, and it's so I don't think anything from the outside right now, the sacking the coach, bringing in new players in January, nothing of the sort is going to address the problem. These are problems that are created by the team themselves, by Mourinho, by the players, by the coaching staff. The lack of fitness is something that can obviously be addressed and should have been addressed in the summer. The players not passing correctly, not doing not even giving you some kind of effort in a match of this kind on a midweek fixture. Okay, you've played a lot. Okay, fine, but it's 1 month. You've been playing for a month, so Mourinho not bringing anything worth of value to the team in a moment of need, not even being willing to be a little bit more flexible in the game plan. Again, I just think to myself, who is benefiting from this formation? Who is benefiting from this clusterfuck of ideas? Sorry for the word, but for this complete mess of tactical mess or lack of. Um, who? If he doesn't understand, as a manager, if you don't understand that if everybody looks lazy or at least sleepy or lost, there has to be a reason, a larger scheme of things. So everybody is at fault, and I think last night, it's not even an episode, it's more of like a big exclamation point, like 3 exclamation points saying, watch out, look out here, because you're in the relegation zone. It's bad enough that you're solo. You wanted to get Champions League football. Well, guess what? Now you're stuck with the likes of Empoli. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Because it's nothing. It's once again, I always think when people come up with names and point fingers to, say, Evan Dika, or say Hussein Mawar or Renato Sanchez, that the problem is that it's not the new signings that are performing bad. It's everybody's bad, Mourinho and staff included. Um, yes, sir. Oh, sorry, Alfio. Can someone just explain to me the regression in individual players? What happened to Zaleski, for one? Well, that's the question. Is everybody's bad? So what happened there? What happened in the summer? Nemanja Matic's departure cannot be used as a. I see already Mourinho say that stuff about Roger Ibanez. And on one hand, I agree with him, because Roger Ibanez was very frequently the scapegoat. He was very frequently criticized for some evident mistakes that he made in the derbies, most notably. And I think he was far better defender than people like to give credit him for. Okay, but at the same time, you cannot keep mentioning this one name just because not only the defense, but it's the whole team is not working defensively. It's not even the defense. It's not the 3 center backs who are not good enough. It's the whole team that is completely switched off defensively. It's people not reading their man. It's people not tracking back. That's the issue. Yes, sir says it's not a matter of players performing, it's the complete lack of tactics. Well, the players performing relates to the tactics. If players don't know what the tactics are, or the tactics are confusing, or there is a lack of tactics, then the performances are obviously a product of that. Just pass the ball in the back, throw long balls forward, and hope for the best. Now we have been found out. Yeah. Um, yeah, let's see what else. Diener says Mourinho is tactically bankrupt with ideas from 20 years ago. For the life of me, I can't believe we play the same formation with no results. It's insane. It's obviously, it's when things are not going your way, it's diabolical to persist. You make a mistake, you make a second mistake, you make a third mistake, fine. but you had a whole international break to think things over, and you come up with the same system. Clearly things weren't working as well as they should have, and you served me this amount of crap, uh, with the same answers or lack of answers. It's that is definitely something really bad. um, bright side is, says Joey, that other big teams are dropping points with smaller teams. We have hope, but not much. Okay, well, again, I say that whenever you have to resort to what others are doing, that means that you're doing pretty bad. Um, Small detail, says Kevin. Mancini stood out in a bad way last night. Completely lost his cool, got booked, had to be pulled, and left us with just one center back for the second half. He's meant to be a team leader. Absolutely. Last night it was clear as day that when Llorente went out, something again, just the team, Mourinho tried to readjust, and it worked against him. Then Mancini does that. He loses his cool. He plays unpredictable. He in a moment of need, when you need reassurances, Mancini as one of the leaders is not able to provide you with that. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. But that's why you need a plan B. That's why you need a plan C. You have to plan for these moments. Mourinho knows he doesn't have a lot of depth in the defensive department. With Smalling and Kumbula out, you got limited options. So you have to think twice about it. You start off with a three-man backline. One of your center backs gets injured. Think fast. Think fast, because if other teams can do it with less depth, with less talent, then you have to do it as well. You are a team that based its whole philosophy throughout the last two seasons on defensive solidity, and now you've lost it. Um, it's not only a problem of tactics. Players also should keep their mind on. Okay, I don't know. The sentence doesn't finish. Marco, you look and sound like a politician, not sport journalist. Always giving neutral response. Fired up, man. Well, I mean, if you listen to last night's podcast, which we recorded right after, I was pretty enraged just at how bad it was. I don't want to. The fact that I don't want to point a finger at a poor individual like, say, Nicola Zaleski doesn't mean that I'm not enraged by this situation. I find it embarrassing that you you have a chance to, after Torino, to make an improvement, and the team regularly, consistently, the one thing they're consistent in this season so far is at being bad and at not making any improvements, not showing any progress. That's ridiculous, and that comes down to the players and the manager always. What's the point of having Lukaku and Dybala if we don't play through them? This overhead bullshit doesn't work, says Joey. Absolutely, Dybala and Lukaku. They're supposed to be the stars of the show, but there is not even a system in place that would highlight their position as the stars of the show. It's you might as well have Caputo and Lapadula in front of the attack, because with the way this team uh, comes up with passes, with long balls, I mean, you might as well have nobodies up front and you'd have the same results. We are here again. Roma suck and we need a rebuild. When will this misery end? I mean, but also this thing of we need a rebuild. I don't know if that is the case. I think the rebuild and trying something new doesn't they don't go together. It's not a synonym. I mean, I think we can all agree that you don't have to rebuild this team. There is a foundation. There is something that has been done well over these past two seasons, because I mean, a lot of people in the summer when we were chatting in the Roma press group chat, or even here when we started doing these live streams, the expectations were there. Like, the thought was the team was good, not excellent, but good. And this is the year that we will go for Champions League football. If you have those expectations, that means that the team is not that bad. If they perform bad, it means they have to come up with something new. That is it's the only thing you can do. We're about to go into October. The only thing you can do is come up with something fresh, something that, I don't know if it's reinventing Lorenzo Pellegrini. a guy who hasn't been the same since 2021. I don't know if it's maybe a matter of incorporating Hussein Ouar. Maybe that's a player who can give you something. Whether it's putting Romelu Lukaku and Dybala in a position to succeed, whatever it is, something needs to be done, because right now we might as well go on the pitch. I mean, the people that are watching this, we have 35 people. I think if we start playing 35 against 11 against, say, Genoa, we might get a good result. Um, the one Richard says, the one who seemed to have passion every time on the pitch is Bove, the mad dog. At least shows heart for Roma. But Bove also, I mean, he's a kid who plays in the midfield. Clearly needs somebody, some kind of instructions. You can't base your whole quality, your whole ability as a footballer around being the mad dog. You're not Pepe. You're not Sergio Ramos. You're Bove. Roma supporter says Roma play bad and go 1-0 down, and then they turn it up, make it 1-1, and then they play bad again, and then Genoa scores. This happens every game and will never change. I don't know if never change. Come on, man. Keep the faith. But obviously, it's infuriating how this team just makes very similar mistakes. I think last night, the fact that they had to switch it up, all of a sudden Llorente gets injured and you have to try something new. You have to come up with a plan B. All of a sudden just shows you that is not being done in training. The team responded so negatively when the change occurred, when Mancini was taken off. Uh, you really have to think, well, what do they prepare for in the training? Because in training you can't prepare for the ideal scenario. Training 80% of the time has to be, well, what if this goes wrong? Or what if the opponent is better than us? What if they put pressure on us? With Roma, it always seems like they get caught off guard. And it seems to them that, oh, really? The opponent is just scored? What happened? How did it come about? Mourinho or no Mourinho, these types of lack of concentration have been our problem for the last 20 years. I support this club. I mean, even longer than that, Wavy, even longer than that. But it always comes, because it always comes down to a moment that the team is going through. I saw Luciano Spalletti, who does his teams, arguably some of the best teams that we saw in terms of how they played, they still went through these moments. It always goes through that. But the important thing is to have an alternative and have the strength to get out of it. So that's why you can't think about sacking the coach. You can't think of adding players to the team. The answers have to be in training at Trigoria. They have to be looked at on film, whatever it is that they do at Trigoria. That's where you have to take your answers from. Let's see. We got 38 people, 28 likes. I need more likes, guys. So please keep pushing that like button. um Joining late. Hope you had a good ride here, Johnny says. Well, had an amazing ride here. The fitness levels are crap, says Jew, but when we have Brian looking like an absolute monster, why is he the exception? Genetics, mindset? I think that with Brian Cristante, it's always mindset. I mean, obviously, this is a guy who's been running nonstop. I mean, Brian Cristante, if he keeps on making the same number of appearances every season, he's going to break into the top 10 of this club in terms of appearances made. So let that sink in. I really don't know. Brian Cristante, with all his limitations, looks like a foreign body to this team that is all over the place. He is perhaps the only player who more or less knows what Mourinho is asking of him in this new role. I think Roma should try 4-3-3 with the three strikers and Dybala, Pellegrini, Cristante in the middle. I don't know, Rover. Whatever it is, I don't have the answer to that. I think there needs to be a link between the midfield and in the attack, because right now there is no link. I think there needs to be some way of giving Paredes more reassurances in the middle of the pitch. You can't leave him on his own. You just can't. I don't know if that means playing Bove beside him. I really don't know. But this team sometimes is getting so cut wide open that it's deflating. I agree. Summer preseason training, late signings, no big challenging friendlies to understand the team players gap and rectify them in the transfer window is showing right now. Yeah. Uh, I think we realized that there was no urgency. I think just in terms of the preparations made in the summer, I think people just took it too easy. The team especially just took it too easy on themselves. Oh, we got a Europa League final and we got screwed on penalties. Blah blah, blah. Well, I think that's a side effect, kind of like what Napoli are doing with Garcia. Oh, we won the Scudetto. Well, we got the best players, but Garcia is it's not Spalletti. Drew, Andy, you're giving the keys for one game, Frosinone. What would you change in terms of surface level macro stuff? Um, don't play Cristante in the defense. Just don't do that. Because if you play Cristante in the defense, man, you are I don't know. You're just admitting defeat. You're admitting that you have no willingness to move on from whatever this crap system is. If Mourinho decides to compromise Brian Cristante, the only player that has performed up to a certain standard this season, and decides to play him as a center back, then it will hurt my soul to the very core. If he decides to play Zeki Salik as a center back, it'll be just as bad. If Mourinho doesn't think that with Llorente out he can actually maybe try something else, then that's when I know that that something is wrong, like deeply wrong with where this team is at mentally. The team can't yet cope with high intensity opponents, and Jose doesn't want to mention that the players at midfield and defense can't yet cope. The three in defense is to cover weaknesses, but the thing is, yesterday was Genoa intense? I don't know. I mean, again they did the bare minimum. It wasn't even like we were playing Milan. Remember when we played Milan? It was clear as day that those two teams did not belong on the same pitch. With Genoa, I got the sense that Genoa were just more organized. They knew what they wanted and they got it. Joey says we don't need a rebuild. We have quality and potential. It's the tactics that don't work for us. Yes, Joey. Flavio. Also, our left back and right back are not performing. This was already evident on the end of last season. The whole defense is not working. Also, Rui is now getting exposed when the defender are not caught up to standards. But Rui, a lot of people were critical of Rui last season, but the defense was working. So you see what I mean? Like you're losing the few points, the few strengths that you had. You're losing them. You've been deprived of them. It's like somebody's just detaching your limbs. You have no limbs. It's one big body that doesn't know how to move, what to do. Wavy. Oh, I lost you. Oh, there you go. Another thing that is annoying. Before the match, a lot of Roma supporters online said we are losing this game. Why are they surprised, man, that we're lost? Wait, come on, it's the internet. Roma lads, our problem is we sit back too much. We don't attack. So when we invite the opposition to attack, they build confidence. I mean, sure, but also whenever I think it's just a matter of whenever you give the opponent the light of day, you concede, right? So you don't even concede that much. Like you concede 4 shots on goal. It's not that bad theoretically, but then you look at the score line and all those shots went into the back of the net. Now that's an issue. I followed the club from 1998. I absolutely believe you. It's it's the way it's been, right? Roman, it definitely takes someone special to lose 1-4 against Genoa with Dybala and Lukaku on your team. Uh, yes, but I also think it depends on exactly on the moment. I mean, I saw Inter do just as bad last season. There were more moments that team went through. Milan, same last season, where it was just embarrassing from top to bottom. But they didn't rebuild. They didn't tear it apart. They found answers, and I think that's when you will know what kind of team this is. Because I think this is perhaps one of the most difficult moments for Jose Mourinho. Perhaps it's as bad as as bad as the winter of his first season, I would say. Remember when we didn't still know if the Conference League was going to be our go-to thing, and we started just dropping points in the league in a series of really disappointing performances, and was really bad, really bad. And we started questioning. I mean, if can this team pull anything off? Can they turn this around? And we saw that that team could, if they found ways to compensate, and they found ways to do it in the Conference League. But right now we're dealing with a different situation. I think it's far worse. Roman, no, Roman, I already read your comment. Impure NXN. Ooh. The problem is all with mentality from Mourinho to the players. They need to become a unit once again. Yeah, there is clear disconnect. Clear disconnect. This is not the team that rallied, that huddled, that did those things together after the defeat or in Budapest. This is not that team. This is not a team that comes together and resolves the problems together. Not at least, at least not at this moment in time. Hopefully, they do it this weekend. Hopefully, they start something. But so far, they haven't given me a reason to believe that something like that can happen. SP Cole, maybe Cristante is playing with more energy because he's been given a new role that may be exciting, interesting to him. Maybe a new formation will give the other players a new life. That's what I'm hoping, right? That's what we're all hoping. Something over the rainbow comes Roma's way and sort of turns this around for everybody. Rocco, we can say what we want about preseason injuries, luck, and some of it is certainly true, but Mourinho can't be losing a tactical battle to Gilardino's Genoa. Mourinho may be losing the team. And I guess we'll see that in the coming weeks. I think before the next international break, we'll definitely know if the team is still on or if this is just, it's just a bunch of individuals that have to hang out together because of professional reasons. Pure and simple. Roman, I miss Fonseca ball. Remember, there is a period of time where we believe we can cut through the lower tier team. Yeah. Roman, I remember that, and also remember that people were unhappy with that because the team conceded a lot to top teams. So you can't have it both ways. And let's not change history. Let's not make it sound like, oh, Fonseca ball was so magic. I remember a lot of games ended with a scoreless result for us, and the opponent completely dismantling our defense. So let's see. Milos, I guess Ibanez was really important to us. Come on. I'm the first Ibanez fan, but to pinpoint this, like just with like Nemanja Matic, absolutely no way. Like with Henrik Mkhitaryan a year ago, no. Those teams, it's not. We're not Empoli. Okay, we're not Sassuolo, where you lose Frattesi and all of a sudden you lose everything that you got going for you. No, this is Roma are have to be in a different category. Perhaps they're not, but they have to be. We want to believe that they are. So when you're a team that is in a different category, you have to be able to rely on a number of options that can slot in and do the job just as well, if not better. And you as a manager need to empower those players in order for them to become those options that you want them to be. um, Musab, if we are Jose, what is next to do? Turn things around and try to save whatever can be saved. Be flexible. That's all. Just like he was in his first season, when he realized that he has to start including the younger players because you're not going to be able to drive the same 11 players into the ground every game. He needs to be flexible. He needs to understand that there is a clear problem, and that problem is not just the bad result against Genoa or the bad result against Milan. It's a problem. When I looked at Roma's schedule for the first month and a half, I thought we had the potential of being in the top four by the end of September. Unfortunately, games aren't played in paper. Absolutely, this was this month, this whole month. If you think about it, what game you could have lost? Milan. That's it. Milan. You could have been sitting top three at least with this schedule compared to what the others have done in the meantime. Milos, it's too early for Mourinho out. Maybe try to give him time to try and figure this thing out. Yeah, Milos, we already discussed that. I mean, I feel the same. It's only right for consistency's sake, for continuity's sake, to give Mourinho time, because because the answers will have to come from him and from the team. Once that becomes an impossible scenario, once we realize that the team really is out of ideas, that Mourinho is out of ideas and is not interested in this team anymore, then we can start the chance of Mourinho out. I have zero faith that we're turning this around. The faith in Mourinho, when everything both right now and historically points to this going on one way, surprises me. Well, there is always a first time, right? I mean, this is a guy who won Roma their first European silverware, and I hate that line. I hate the fact that he used it. But what I'm saying is, there was always a first time for everything. So perhaps we can help get the third year Mourinho curse out of him. Hopefully. The annoying news that we get to hear on expectations for a winter window signing. It's like Jose is raising the white flag till after the winter window. No, I don't think there are any expectations for January. Honestly, the fact that he just said it, it's just to say that next year, and also give us a bit of time. I think that's Mourinho is hoping to be at least given time until January to fix whatever needs fixing. Maybe you'll say it's not faith, maybe it's a reason to believe, but why can we just not agree that this is the limit of our relationship with Mo? Because I mean, you can say it. I don't feel like that's the case. I I saw this team really buy into what Mourinho was saying, and giving them all the way until the final in Budapest. So I don't want to wipe that slate clean right now. If you ask me again in a month's time, maybe that will be, and we're in the same spot, I'll probably be on board with that. The only silver lining of the match is Fat Totti finally coming out of the basement. Yes, it happened. Would you start as Moon and Lukaku against Frosinone, Dybala as a 10 behind them? I don't know what I would do. Because honestly, this has been such an up and down situation that, to me, I can't even say who is gonna perform. I can't say, well, put Belotti out there and he's gonna do a better job than Dybala right now. I don't know. So it has to come from them, guys. Last comments before we go. If Roma shows zero heart, passion, suffering as a team for a win on Sunday, then it's more of a problem. It's toxic. Absolutely. It's, you see, we drove ourselves into a situation where we have to say it's the next match, it's the next game, it's the next opponent. At some moment in time, that will end. I believe it has to be before this new international break. There has to be that moment where we finally realize that this team is out of it. And if they don't deliver answers against Frosinone, oof, that's gonna be bad. I can't guarantee I'll do a live stream then. So, guys, I think we'll wrap it up here. I want to thank everybody that came on and connected, because I know that this is not very stimulating material. Then it's these results suck. It sucks for me and John to go out and have to record about something and write about a team that doesn't deliver anything remotely exciting for us fans to talk about and cheer about. So, but I appreciate everybody coming here, sort of trying to express whatever they're feeling, and also come up with some kind of answers. So if you want to support this channel, if you want to support the show and the website, you can go to patreon.com/Roma Press, and that really helps us going. If you want to hear the latest podcast episode, you can do so by watching the video that is up on our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do, and so you'll be in the loop for the next live streams. I really wanted to thank everybody. Yes, thank you, Richard. I thank everybody who always tunes in for these. And if you hear for the first time, thank you for taking some time out of your busy day. Hopefully we can have a good weekend. Hopefully we can look forward to a better Sunday night against Frosinone and a better Monday, the day after the match. So until then, guys, I'll catch you on the next podcast episode and on the next live stream. Please stay tuned in to us, and Forza Roma. Hopefully this will all be fixed in a few days' time. So until then, ciao.